All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is BopCast, episode 15 or something. I never know the episode, but today I'm here with Matt Gordeuk. He's going to rip some guitar. Guitarist himself. I actually knew your brother before I knew you, but
right.
and he's inclined with the drums.
That's right.
Exactly, which is funny. But thanks for coming. I appreciate it, man.
Me, right?
Anytime, man. Anytime. Thanks for coming to rip some guitar as well. Trying to a lot of times, like, I'll just have artists on to talk about themselves, but when you can actually incorporate the art with it, you might as well. We have a camera and a microphone. You got your whole setup, which I'm very impressed with all these pedals. This looks like yeah, there you go. Very legitimate setup. So, yeah, man, you might as well, right? So, yeah, thanks for coming. And so right now Matt's going to rip a little set, and we have him on video and the audio as well. If you're watching just audio, I'm going to try to or if you're listening just audio, I'm going to try to put the audio on there as well so you can hear him rip some guitar. But without further ado, you got it, man. To get post straight up performance. That was
post performance.
That was crazy, man. Yeah, exactly. Anytime, man. So thanks again for coming on,
dude. Thanks for having me,
ladies and gentlemen. This is Matt Gordeuk. He's a musician, guitarist. I kind of talked about it in the intro before, but met your brother first in band class. He was a drummer. I was a drummer, barely, and I was more of a drummer before that, but once I got to high school, I didn't care. And it turned out that, I don't want to talk bad about the guy, but our music teacher at the time, he wasn't the most inclined towards the drums. He didn't really care about us.
Yeah.
Good dude. Not going to mention his name. People who know who I'm talking about know.
Yeah.
Very talented guy and definitely good teacher, but we just fucked off.
Yeah.
We just
the hang in the percussion section.
Exactly, man. And like your brother said that too. He was like, "Yeah, you guys didn't do anything." I was like, "I know, like I didn't do anything." Like you're right, dude. Like you're right. And it's funny. And
he would be that guy to call you, be like, "What are you? You're not doing anything."
Yeah, he is. You know him a lot better than I do too. And it's funny. It'd be like, "Yo, it's okay. It's all good, man. We just want to watch Netflix and we'll watch YouTube in the back." And
just chill.
Straight up, man. Yeah. That's it. But so you've been playing guitar for a while.
Yeah, I've been playing. I think I figured it out the other day. It was like since I was. Nope, I haven't figured it out. Whatever age you're in 4th grade, which I guess is like 9 or 10.
It's when I started too.
Yeah, so I guess about there. So now That's like 16 or 17
Now, was
years.
it lessons? What were you?
So I started because my dad's a guitar player.
Okay.
And when I was little, my mom had the quote-unquote real job, like the office job, and my dad would hang out with my brother and I when we were real little. Okay. And then we got a little older. And at the time when we were really little, he took like a break basically from his full-time gigging career and then like to like take care of us, and him and my mom raised us and everything. So we got a little older, and then I saw him going to work with the guitar case, and I was like, what's that? And then I realized, okay, my dad's a guitar player, and I just, I caught the bug, if you will, So then I just saw
You're
him
like, I
playing.
want to do that.
Pretty much, and he would just be playing it around the house.
So he's a full-time musician.
Yep.
Is he now, or is
yeah,
he? Okay.
absolutely. So full-time musician, do a lot of different things. He
That's so cool,
teaches, performs. He's a studio musician. He's toured before. He even worked for like a piano moving company for a short period of time. So it's like all those different avenues of like that you can work in
Anything music.
Music, like people say I'm a musician. It's like I work in music.
Like he was dropping pianos down like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Stereotypical thing from the top of the building of like a crane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
the
he
thing
could,
that I have in my mind, right? Like,
right. Or like putting them into like performance halls or people's like what's the word? They're like people's apartments in New York City. I'm thinking of
That's what yeah, it's in my head right now.
Shit, what is it? The top one.
Like the top of what? A building?
The top of an apartment building, but like the very top floor.
What, like the?
That's like a type of apartment.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a high rise or something.
I guess so, yeah.
I guess a high rise is like a certain amount of floors, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
We lost it. Somebody in the comments will save it.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody save it. Give us the name.
But he did that shit, and he taught me about that shit throughout as I got older and everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just.
So he taught you about like what he was doing too. Like, did he talk a lot about what?
He did. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. As I got older, he would just like talk about it with me and all the things he's done in life.
Did you go too? Did you see him? Like watch him?
Yeah,
play?
absolutely.
Yeah.
One time, I went to go see him play at the Pattenberg. Well, like years ago, before it was
the locals
like,
understand.
Yeah, exactly. Years and years ago, I was probably 11 years old. And it was like an afternoon gig, and his buddies at the time were like pulling me aside, like, "Hey man, you want to play pool?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I want to play pool."
Yeah.
But like the whole point was for me to like help my dad load in,
Mm-hmm.
set his guitars up for him, help him set his gear up so I could like see how it was done.
The process.
And then like I was watching him play, and his buddy comes over, and was like, "Hey kid, you ever play pool?" And I go over and I start shooting pool with him, and then my dad looks over halfway through a solo. He looks at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" And then afterwards, he was just like, "You were supposed to be helping me and watching and all that shit. What are you doing playing pool?"
God.
But that was like one of the first times I actually went to him, just with him, to go watch him play in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was honestly one of the coolest things. The pool was fun too. But it was really fun just getting to see what he did. And plenty of times, like even for outdoor festivals, same deal. Go in, help him, tech for him, help him load the van up afterwards and all that stuff. But yeah, and he got me started playing. Like he had an acoustic guitar from when he was a kid, which looking back I think was really cool. He like let me learn.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right? Like damn, I'm sure that was like a crazy moment for him to be like, I'm having my son learn how to play guitar.
And that's like, you got to keep that thing around.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, you're moving from place to place throughout your life, and it's like, I'm just going to keep this for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then down the road, that first day of he gives it to you.
And he's like, here, here's a G chord. Here's an E minor chord. And I just started going at it. And, he was consistently showing me music as a kid that got me inspired. So, like, he turned me on to the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Kiss.
Okay, because I was going to go into influences. We can do it now if you want, or we can wait, but...
Either way.
Okay, I mean, if you're naming them off... So that's... Well, we'll start with that. So that's what you were exposed to.
Yeah, the first band I was exposed to was Van Halen.
Okay.
That was, like, my very first ever. So Eddie Van Halen is, like, really number one at the end of the day. Because literally, I was, like, a year old. I couldn't walk yet. And my dad had this, like, Van Halen concert on tape. He just kept playing it. And I just kept seeing this guy. I was like, what? This shit's insane. So the whole time, Eddie Van Halen's been like the number one influence, really. And after that, he showed me the Beatles. Like I have a distinct memory of like watching Van Halen as a kid and seeing the Beatles, like listening to the Beatles the first time.
I don't have a visual of the Beatles from when I was a kid, but But Abbey Road was on my first iPod and my MP3.
There you go, right? And you never forget that.
Mm-hmm, never.
It's a magical sound. So the Beatles. Then along the way, Stevie Ray Vaughan came into the picture. Big influence from my dad. So that was my first take into the blues. And then I did so, and then I just kind of started figuring shit out for myself and researching. Mm-hmm. So I got by that point into like high school. I found Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, and various other groups. And as I get older and older, now these days it's like I'm constantly hunting and searching for more and more music.
Are you listening to newer artists as of late?
Yeah, which was something, I mean, truthfully, not something I did a lot of. Like, it was more like I went for like the old school shit, like old school blues, old school classic rock and roll, old school funk, like just the shit from prior, and then I just met a lot of people in college who showed me like a lot of these new bands. It's like, well, how old is this band? They're like, oh, they came out like 2 years ago, or this album's only 3 years old, or this person like just dropped their album like a week ago. And now I feel like in general I'm looking for different music all the time, but I'm definitely more savvy to more current musicians as well.
I think that happens naturally, at least in my journey. Right? It's happened too, of like I'm weird though, like I went from guitar to drums to rap to not ever listening to even one Eminem song to then rapping, like so I got like a weird palette. But
it's varied.
You have
a wide palette.
But it used to be, and it used to be same deal of just my dad putting me on classic rock. Like I listened to classic rock and then hard rock and post-hardcore and stuff like that kind of towards the end, until I bridged this gap over into like hip-hop and rap music, and then I was just lost in that.
Right.
And then it's just all current. But that's crazy that like it's a similar situation with you. Different music, obviously we make different stuff. We do completely different things, but as you understand yourself as a musician, then you start to, I feel like, listen to the newer artists, because you're like, that's where I'm going to be in 3 years or whatever. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you start to, like, you become aware of, like, okay, let me check this shit out, and your ears become a little bit more educated as you learn to more and more styles of music.
Talk about that. I love that.
Right? Yeah. And so, like, we've had plenty of conversations about Tyler, the Creator, and Odd Future. And like when I discovered him, I was like, whoa, okay, for one thing, I mean, he's an absolute genius, but also just, you start to hear things on a different level. And then you go back and listen to stuff you listened to as a kid. And you're like, man, like, I didn't appreciate it for what it is. Like, you can go back and listen to all of Abbey Road.
A year later, even if I listened to something a year ago, I listened to it a year later, I'm like, I didn't even catch that.
Right?
Or whatever it is. Yeah. And you can't. Tyler create great example of, every time. So I met Matt officially through changing his oil in his car. When I worked at the shop. So just so people have that, background of like, that was the first time I really like knew, and then we hit it off and started talking about music, and I was just changing the oil. So that's funny, just so people have the background.
I thought you said you changed the oil in Tyler, the Creator's car for a second.
Oh, no, you were looking at me weird. I was like, does he not remember when I met him?
No, I was like, man, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, that would have been, shit, if I did that, man, I think I don't know if I'd be here. I would have been in the trunk of that car driving to wherever the hell he's going, man. But, yeah, so, and then at the shop, we would just go into it, and then we were talking about Tyler, the Creator, but a specific thing that I recognized from him was he even said that he didn't want to sing, and he didn't want to not rap, and then he made an album that's like mostly singing and not really rapping.
Exactly.
And so it's like a testament to like these, you could do whatever you want. It's crazy. Like you could just pivot. He just pivoted, and he's like, oh, I just feel this now, and he's like, I'm gonna make an album where I come out, and it's gonna be a really good album, like musically. Yep. And I don't care, and I'm gonna sing, and I'm gonna do it.
Well, one thing he talks a lot about is just like, what was it? I think, well, he cites Pharrell a lot, and it was like there's an album that he studied by Pharrell, and it's just like Pharrell's message is just like, trust your ideas, believe in yourself, and it's like, that's such a corny thing to say, believe in yourself, but it's true. And that's exactly where I think he comes from, in that just like he does what he wants, and he's very confident in himself, and even if it tanks, he's like, well, I still know that I'm satisfied with it, and I know where I can grow from having done this project already, which is something that, I mean, I don't know, you've probably met enough artists and musicians too who are just like a little down on themselves. It's like we all beat ourselves up for not being as great as we want to be, or not having that first take be the best take, but we're supposed to screw up in order to understand what is yet to come.
There's two sides of it. It's like there's one part that's everything I make is dope and it's amazing. And there's other part that everything I make is shit and it's terrible.
Yep.
And so, and if you're a true artist, you have both of those.
Yeah, that's right.
And like you were saying, of meeting different artists, you meet the artists that are everything is dope and it's amazing, and I don't even have to edit these lyrics. And then you meet the artist that's like, dude, I don't even want to. That recorded 24 songs and never released one.
Yeah.
Because either they're self-conscious about themselves, or they're so conscious about what somebody else is going to think about it.
Yep.
And
it's a balancing act.
It's a balancing act, and it's a crazy, and it's a hard thing too. And
it is,
I just, I forgot, and then I remembered again of like I'm making a song with my friend right now, and dude's talented, man. Like he's got bars, like he can rap, you know, and we're kind of in the same. He's older than me, but I've been rapping a little longer.
Yeah.
But so he has a little bit more like life experience.
Sure.
And so it's a cool, like, we're in a kind of the same position, just a little bit different time in our lives.
Right.
And I had a line that was like, I don't know, it was like, I don't have to pray because this. And he was like, oh, I don't want to offend people, saying, like, I don't want to pray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I do want to offend people. Like, I'm not
like,
going out to offend people.
Yeah.
But if my line offends you, that's not my
Big
fault.
fucking whoop.
That's not my fault. Like, that's your fault.
Exactly.
Like, because unfortunately, like, if somebody offends me, it's my fault because my ideology allowed me to get offended.
Right.
Because I don't agree with that. So it's me. Like, if I get offended, it's on me. It's not on the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So he was, you know, his argument on his side is, I just believe in this. Like, this would offend me, I guess, you know? And I'm on the side of, like, if I'm going to go and make the art, take the time out of my day, buy the beat, record the vocals, write everything, how can I care?
You're not supposed to apologize for something you create, and it's like, because it just is what it is, right? And it came from your soul, it came from your heart, it came from your imagination, and you put your energy into it. And yeah, I mean, even to come back to Tyler, the Creator, he did a lot of shit that pissed people off, and he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Most of it, I feel
a lot of his early shit was like, you know, talking about terrible things, like raping people and shit.
It's hilarious and
and
so
you know,
good.
because like once you like study him, you know that's like he's doing that to get a rise out of people and to piss people off.
That's it.
Right? And it's just like, and that was his point. Is okay, then people can be like, oh, that's not art. That's just, you know, juvenile behavior. It's like, okay, yeah, but it worked.
Exactly.
You know, and it's so
millions of people.
Exactly.
Love
exactly.
it.
It's like, you know, no, I get what you're saying. Like, don't apologize and don't, because at a certain extent, it's like, well, that's what you leave behind when you die. It's like, I did this, and you know, this is what you can say captured the essence of what you were.
Like, that was like 100%, and you put it really well, of capturing the essence of what you were, because that's all it is in that moment, that's how you felt.
Yeah.
So you put that down and you released it and you said, this is it for the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that, like, I love, like, this is my boy, shout out Simon, like, he's dope, Rightful Disciple, he's a dope rapper, everybody go check him out, like, he's serious talent from this kid. But when he said that was like a trigger for me of like, no, bro, no, like, that's not, like, what if we just said that about every line?
Right.
Like, then I would never write anything.
It's like you walk on eggshells to the point where it's like you're barely even moving. Where's my water? There. But like, you know, you can't be so insanely paranoid about how people are gonna take shit, because otherwise you're not gonna say anything.
And it's different, exactly. Then you're not making it for you anymore. But and it's different for, I guess, for like if you're not writing lyrics. I don't know if you write lyrics, but
a little bit.
Yeah, but even for your guitar playing, like, you're not gonna worry that somebody, if they don't like blues, like, about offending, like, if they're like, I hate blues, I don't want to fucking, like, and they just leave, like, good, like, that's a good thing. It's a good thing if they turn off my song because they don't like a line. I don't want them listening to it anyway.
But it made an impact.
Yeah.
You know, it's like at the end of the day, regardless if someone didn't like it or did, it's like, okay, it made an impact in some way, which is what art is supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that, having been through music school, you learn a lot about people who are just kind of ignorant and narrow-minded people about certain styles of music, and just who, like, oh, you're not playing that the right way, or it's like, no, I don't care for the way that you interpret this style of music. It's like, well, I can only do so much because I'm me, you know, and it's like, I don't know, I met a lot of people who just kind of turned me off about thinking like that, and thinking like, or just, to your point, it's like offending people, and it's like, yeah, again, I'm only going to be on this planet for X amount of years, so I might as well do what I want to do. And
I'm only going to make so many songs.
I'm only going to make so many songs. I'm only going to play the guitar so many times, so I want to make sure every single moment is valid and authentic, and I'm going to just be me at the end of the day. I don't care for being a clone of somebody else. Like,
it's the worst.
You can steal somebody else's ideas, and you can learn the history of the music, which at the end of the day is insanely important. You got to do your homework and know your history. But you also got to be yourself at the end of the day. As corny as that sounds, like, you do just have to do that.
Yeah, that's if you could go through your entire life being yourself, I think you'd be fine.
That's the idea,
I don't think you'll
right?
have a lot of problems, right? So you went to music school?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just had my buddy Mike Moore. Shout out Mike Moore on the last episode. He is a mixing engineer. He records. Dropped out of Berklee College of Music to pursue that, and so we went into a lot of that. So I'm very interested in people, and going to. So you finished? Did you get a degree? Okay, perfect. Because this is a great, he had his side of it. It was like I dropped out, couldn't do this anymore. Had to start my own thing, and you went through it, and you went to you graduate, you got the degree and everything.
That piece of paper,
right? So. Where did you go, and how was your experience? If you on a broad level.
So I went to Raritan Valley for 2 years. Figured my shit out.
Community college for people that know.
Yep. And that shit was necessary.
I went there too. So yep.
Then it's like that shit's necessary. And actually, if anything, just to talk about that for a second, because I know plenty of people, even just students of my own, music students, guitar students, who are just who are in community college or they're seniors in high school and. They're like, I don't know, man, I'm going to go to community college. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's like, that's okay. That is really okay. Most people in their 20s or 18 don't know what the hell they want to do.
Most people that
are
36 don't know what the hell they want, so.
And, we can even talk about that for a bit, but, excuse me. Community college showed me and showed you, I'm sure as well, how you are put into a pool of people who are driven and not driven. Excuse me. You meet people and professors who push you and realize that you have potential to do something no matter what it is, and they're like, listen, the goal of community college, they're saying the goal of being in community college is to get the hell out of here. It's get your shit together, become a learned individual, and be prepared to take on a 4-year degree. Because if you are there, it meant that you didn't quite know what was going on after high school, and that is also okay. If anything, I think it might mean that certain people who go to community college might be more aware of, I'm not quite sure what's going on yet. Let me go somewhere where I know I can have a huge pool of resources and figure this shit out and get the engine going. So that way when I fucking graduate, I can take off running.
Send it.
Right? So now, in that department, and even just music at Raritan Valley was great. I had great professors and all that stuff, but same deal. People who just pushed me and were like, work hard and don't stop working hard. Rutgers was great. Rutgers is a great university. The music school there was great. I mean, it's just a lot of who's who of. I studied jazz there, so the who's who of the jazz world work there. Phenomenal classical musicians work there. Phenomenal actors and theater people and visual artists. It's there's some heavyweight names at
there's
that.
A lot of arts going on there.
Yeah, exactly, and they're all New York cats.
Open mics,
that too. So even the community, now that's a whole separate thing. The community of New Brunswick was a very nourishing. The Scarlet Pub. Even just I became part of the underground basement scene by playing in a band, cool. And I slept on it for a few years. I went to a handful of shows, but a lot of my friends were like, "Man, you should go check out some of these shows." There's just so much shit happening, just independent DIY art and music, and it's just such a cool scene. But the education I got really was good. I personally felt like I was very ready to be done with school. I was very ready in the sense of I wanted to get off. I call it the conveyor belt of education. It's you're put on it as I don't know, how old are most kindergartners? 5, right? Something like that, 5 or 6. So it's you're on there from when you're 6 to when you're let's say most people graduate by the time they're 21 or 23 years old, right? Undergrad. That's a long time, and you don't know anything else. So I was very eager to I want to get out, I want to graduate, get this shit done, and just be on my own and experience life and get hurt a little bit and get my ass kicked by life a little and play guitar and make sure that I knew that I could do this thing for a living. And I felt like what I learned at Rutgers was definitely valuable enough to help me get to where I am now. The education, to answer your question in a broad sense, it was definitely great. The environment in New Brunswick was awesome. I still go out there and play music and see music.
I know multiple people who rap there. I know multiple people who have bands there. And it seems like literally the best place, at least in the tri-state.
It's a happening scene. People come from all over. I lived in a house that was a show house my senior year, and we had people from Florida, from Canada, from North Carolina, from the Midwest. They would just come through and on tours, and they knew to stop in through New Brunswick because there was always a crowd there that wanted to see live music, no matter what it was.
The scene was there, it was established.
There's always and the scene was so versatile. So it was I played in an indie rock band that had a rapper in it at one point. My trio is definitely versatile, but we definitely play funk, rock, hip hop, jazz shit. I saw noise bands there. I saw screamo bands there. I saw this girl playing harp with a tambourine attached to her foot. and I went to school. Her name was Layla, and Lilani. Might have to cut that part because I definitely fucked her name up. But
she don't mind. It's fine. You mentioned her, man.
But she, just like there was so much shit going on. There's so much music that's like at any given point I could just walk downstairs from my room into this basement and just see incredible music and just
people who are doing what they want to do,
and a crowd that was receptive to it. Nobody was like, fuck this, what is this? They're just like, cool, there's a band playing, what are they doing? Oh, this is some different shit, let's listen to it. And then people would it'd be like, after the set would be like, all right, we'll be upstairs hanging in the kitchen, come hang, or I'll be outside doing whatever, let's hang, let's talk, whatever.
That's the type of show where like the people, you can have that indie rock band and then a screamo band and then a rapper, and it's like everybody's receptive
and everybody's like,
all
fuck
of it.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to hear more about it, but this just popped in my head because I will forget it. I do open mics at Stockton where I go, and there's very limited music scene going on. We have something called a music union. I'm not into it. Seems cool, but just doesn't. I'm a rapper, so I just don't. It's just not the same.
Sure.
So if they had a hip hop union, I'd definitely join.
Yeah.
But like I do the open mics, and luckily I'm a DJ, so I know how to get people to move and get people to pay attention to me. But they're not receptive at all. They don't. They're not there for that. They're there to study and get a coffee and leave.
Yeah.
And so they have food. They have like Taco Tuesday, it's called, and like an open mic with it. So people just go there to get free food and then they leave, So I'm there of like trying to convince these people to, and like I get them going. Like it's fine, but it's not that. It's not the people who are just there to experience it.
Right.
They're just there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And they're not engaging in it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunate. It's just, I don't know. I lucked out definitely as being in New Brunswick, and like I could have gone to school anywhere, but I definitely went somewhere where it's like it's in between Philly, it's in between New York. People come through there all the time, and like there's a number of famous bands that have come out of there, like the Gaslight Anthem, for example. But like I know what you're saying. I lucked out for sure, just being a musician and being around people just who want to experience art and just listen to creative music, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That shit's
I'm
important.
a transfer, I think.
Pardon?
I think I'm going to transfer.
Do it. New Brunswick's popping. I love New Brunswick.
This is the thing.
I tell you all the cool places to go eat, too.
This is the thing that you do have around me. You have unlimited amounts of mixing engineers and mixing artists and people who are just doing it. Shout out to my friend Wayne. He lived next to me, and then he moved into a bigger place. And so he could have his studio in the basement again, and like he had it in his closet in his apartment, and it's just like a lot of that. Mike Moore, who I mentioned, he has it in his parents' basement. He has a full studio, built an entire full studio in the basement. I haven't been there, I've just seen pictures, but it's really nice. So there's that scene, and there is a little bit underground, but just the sheer amount of people, there's not a lot of people. It's not a college town.
Yeah.
So like if you drive through, you don't
realize it.
You don't unless even if you go past the college, you probably wouldn't even. If you don't know it's there, you probably don't even recognize it,
Right.
So I'm like in a position where I'm like, I almost have to, I'm actually looking, my friend's starting a fraternity there, and I'm looking to join that just so I can be a part of, like, just to have a group of people around all the time.
Yeah.
To just, just to have, like, almost build part of the scene. And when we have live music,
build a collective.
We'll have people come in.
Right.
Because we'll be the part of creating it, so we don't have to follow any rules. We can make them.
You make your own shit happen.
Exactly, and we can build something like that. And everybody, who's in it right now, it's very baby stages, and they're very receptive to it because they just want something different. Mm-hmm. And I think that seems like Rutgers or that scene, like that is the different. Like that's just what happened. It is different. It's cool, and it's already happening. So.
Well, then it's a good thing they have someone like you out there to start building that shit.
Hopefully, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm the guy who's going to fucking make all this shit and save it.
Well, no, but you're doing something. Yeah. And that's what's important. You need someone.
I do every open mic, and every opportunity that I have, I try to take, and they have a hip-hop showcase. They had, I'm going to, I don't want to go into a rant, but this is a podcast. But no, so they had a hip-hop showcase, and somebody doing spoken word won it. And that's not hip-hop.
Yeah.
Poems aren't rap. Poems aren't lyrics. Songs aren't poems. They're not the same. If you take literally a music class, a lyric class, read a book about songs, then you'll understand. So like there's that where it's like I can't even like I don't even want to participate because I don't feel like I'm even represented. You know, I feel like the definition is different.
Yeah.
Person to person, which is like that's the weird thing about contests. But like, so how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, okay, wait.
Because I don't want to go off on this fucking
about
rant.
what specifically?
How do you feel about a music contest?
Well,
Battle of the Bands.
Okay, Battle of the Bands is like.
I have a positive
It's like
notion of that.
Well, it's like okay,
that seems positive to me.
So then, to me, it's like with that kind of vibe. The thing I'm thinking about is like, okay, having done one or two of those in my life when I was like younger too. I think it's a younger musician's thing because when we're younger, we're a little bit more egotistical and cocky and competitive.
Or that or the opposite, or we're just not worried about what other people.
Yeah,
think.
right.
Maybe that's the same thing. Probably the same thing. Yeah.
So like my thing at the time was I just want to make sure I play the best. Like I always made sure the bands I played in, we just sounded good because it was like a battle. It's like, all right, well, what are we battling about?
Sound
like,
good, yeah.
Like, is it who sounds the best? Okay, I guess that is
That's
a part
the
of
great
it.
thing, though.
But then like who played the best songs? Or it's like, okay, I don't know. It's like then the question is, okay, truthfully, that's not what music and art are about. It's a way
it's not
to
about
bring...
competition, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
but it helps. But motherfucker, it helps. When I see a rapper out there getting it and they're blowing up, and I'm like, fuck, what am I doing? Right?
So in that regard, it serves a good purpose because then again, it's like, okay, well, who's the better rapper in that regard? It's like what you're doing, and then that can serve if you're smart to inspire the people who got their asses kicked. It's like, shit, this person won. Let me see why. Do I fuck with them? Do I like what they did?
Mm-hmm. And let me take it back. Because I don't want to leave that on a bad note. I went home and I was, even afterwards I performed and like I got like a standing ovation. Like people just,
good.
Like I've never, first time performing in front of people like rapping.
Yeah.
Other than at parties and stupid shit. But like that energy, never felt that energy before. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing. Yeah. I didn't even place, but it was just amazing. And I went home and I made a beat. Wasn't even good, but I just was in the zone. I was like,
you just went and made art.
Right? Just, and I was just kept creating, right?
Yep.
And so so I had to end that story on that positive note, but at the same time I'm like, this is so subjective. Like, what like there could
what are we battling about?
Exactly. There could be the best. There could be a top 10 artist at that showcase, and they might not place. Yeah. And then so then really, what is it all about? You know, and like, what are they judging?
It's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing with music trying to judge art. Judging art's weird. That's like Grammys, Emmys, all that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I get it. Like there's a standard, but not.
And people are people love that shit. People thrive to have. It's like, oh, so sorry, like
who won,
right? Or as part of even just status, like. The faculty at Rutgers, like one of them is like a 5-time Grammy Award winner. One of them's also a 5-time Grammy nominated musician. So it's like, right? So it's almost kind of, or like one time there was a deal where it was like one of the professors, his album was nominated for a Grammy, didn't win the Grammy, but one of the musicians on that album won a Grammy for like best solo. And it was just like kind of that moment of like, this is some weird shit.
It's a technicality. It's like a weird little
but then the thing of like when you walk in, you get hired, and it's like, well, this like, someone is a 5-time Grammy nominated musician that you just hired on for your album. It's like, well, I want them. They've got clout. It's like, okay, yeah, but like,
what about the guy with 5 Grammys? Yeah, it's like,
or it's like, or like somebody who it doesn't have a Grammy or isn't Grammy nominated. Oh, I guess then clearly they're just shit. No, it's just like maybe they just weren't in the scene. Like they weren't playing shit that was popular enough to get nominated for a Grammy.
It's timing. It's like
it's timing. What's
perfect.
Popular?
It's just perfect timing and opportunity and formula and ear, and it's like there's way too many factors.
Yeah.
There's way too many.
There's so much depth to it, and I haven't even scraped the surface of that shit yet. I'm just trying to make sure I can like be a working musician.
It's a good transition. Yeah, go like
just, like
what do
the
you
Grammy and it's just like the popularity contest is just kind of like to me. I haven't even touched that area of music yet, but I can already foresee it sure as hell being like a fucked up. Weird.
Unless you win a fucking contest,
because then you're just like, oh great, yeah. And then when you're in that crew,
think about like American Idol people. Like let's think Philip Phillips.
Okay.
I don't know who I don't really know. I know one song. I think
I might too.
I'm Gone or Gone or something like that. Just because I'm a DJ, I don't listen to him. like if you look at, I feel like not, I could be completely wrong. I feel like a lot of those people, even the ones who won or got top 3, like they got a record deal or something, and then like they didn't blow up, like they didn't become the best.
They were blown up because
like Phil Phillips isn't the best in country.
Yep.
Like I don't even really listen to country that much. I know that.
Yep.
I think he's probably really good,
but he never went anything past American Idol, and you realize
exactly. Or the record deal. And I could be wrong. Maybe he comes on this podcast in 3 years and he just schools me and, you know, he gets a hit record in a month. I don't know.
That's what you get for doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. You never know. You might make some memories. But
it's fine.
I remember being little and seeing...
Respect to Phil Phillips. Can't do that. You're amazing, bro. But straight up, what are you doing? I don't know.
But like, I remember being little and walking into Borders when Borders was a thing. And for those who don't know, that was a great little CD bookshop, coffee shop, videotape shop.
Dope spot.
In Flemington, there was a chain in Flemington. It closed. And it was the hang when I was little. Like, I loved Borders. But anyway, I walked in there and I saw someone who just won off American Idol. I couldn't tell you who the hell it was. But it said, like, so-and-so's premiere album after like, the sticker said so-and-so's premiere album after having won on American Idol. And I thought, that shit's going to dog them for the rest of their lives. Like, who are you? Oh, you were that dude on American Idol. And it's like, yeah, but I'm a lot more than that. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. Look, here's my material. Oh, I remember seeing you on American Idol. It's like, that will never leave them. And, like, they blew up and got 1 million plus views, just viewers and views just from, like, that TV show.
It's a social tattoo.
And that shit will not leave. And then after it's over, then comes the next singer. And it's like, cool, time for the next season. Here comes the next rising star. And it's like, it works for views on this TV show, but not necessarily for just music. So, like, I don't know. That doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, you get branded.
And that doesn't leave.
American Idol. And
well, then there's, like, people like Kelly Clarkson who've moved past it.
Exactly. There you go.
So then, like, okay, then that means something.
It worked.
I haven't studied Kelly Clarkson's music enough or her career enough, but frankly, the fact that she's a household name, and I don't know, I'm sure for some people it's like know her from American Idol, but also realize just know her name,
so there's
and then
that.
Looks like, oh, she was on American Idol. I didn't know that. You know, like
you can move. Some people move beyond it, and some people don't. That's because now we're going into labels too, which I think is a good not a record label, but a label.
Labeling, categorization.
Yeah, exactly. Categorization in the music industry, which is fucking crazy. I mean, then you got people like the classic example of like Lil Nas X and Old Town Road type shit. Like that you couldn't label that. Like you can label it. You can label it country. You can label it hip hop, but it's like. It's not. It's its own thing. So if you can break out of that, it's like I only think of Philip Phillips as the American Idol country guy. Mm-hmm. But he could come out with an album next year and it's amazing and nobody forgets. Country. Yeah. It's such a weird it's another fucking. I feel like music is such a huge gray area because creativity is so.
Like when you get into the high echelon of it, or like the high ranks of like popularity and publicity, there's a whole world of trouble that comes with it, and like a gray area that comes out of it as well.
Yeah, because it's not A and B.
Yeah, exactly.
It's A, B, C, and the whole fucking.
And
alphabet.
then how you present yourself and how you carry yourself, or how you want to
it's
be.
It's not linear. It's
right. We
very
want it to
reflexive. It goes in and out. But to switch it up, where what are your what's next, and what are you doing now? What's next, and some goals? 3 big ass fucking questions.
Sure. So what I've done since Rutgers, I joined a band named Johnny Cola. So in the event, I figured it'd be like, where can we listen to some of your shit?
100%. All in the show notes, by the way.
Yeah. So Johnny Cola, and there's all shit you can look up on SoundCloud, Bandcamp,
awesome,
Instagram for sure. That's what we have so far. So. Johnny Cola was a band of me and 3 of my friends from college, and we all were in the same year together in the jazz program. We're all freshmen together, and the main guy, John Koliakovo, who's Johnny Cola, his last name's Italian. It's Cola is how you spell his last name, and then the rest of it I don't even know. He's gonna kill me for that.
Just Johnny Cola.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, Johnny Cola. Shout out to my boy Joey Pepsi.
Joey Pepsi.
Right?
Johnny Cola.
So he started this band, and he's like, you guys want to play some shit? I'm like, okay. And then he really got me going on some just different music. He turned me on to a lot of different shit. And I mean, he's one of my best friends. He's one of my favorite musicians to work with. We're working on an album right now. To jump into what I'm doing, I'm working on an album with him right now. It'll probably come out in a year. But I joined this band in college, and prior to that, I mean, I did a few things here and there. I recorded something my senior year of high school before I went to community college at a studio. I did gigs here and there, but I didn't really record much. And that was where I realized my senior year is like, this is where people check you out. What do you have recorded? So I worked with him and we recorded an album in our house like over a summer. It was so much fun. And and the band was like indie rock. As like what we labeled ourselves as, but I mean like we're all jazz musicians, so he just wrote these really complex jazz chord changes with like super catchy melodies and like a happening drum beat, So that put me into the New Brunswick basement scene, which opened me up.
Cool
like
style too. It seems like just by you describing it.
Yeah. It is fun. I mean, I definitely encourage you to listen to it and like everyone listening to this podcast.
Check it out.
It's
Click
fun.
It's
right
called
the EP is called Unbind. They're working on a second EP at the moment. TBD on the details, but
come back on and we'll talk about it once it's up.
For sure.
We're gonna have your boys here too.
Yeah.
Next time,
right?
We're gonna do a real setup, yeah.
And so since then, after being in the New Brunswick basement scene, I got my eyes opened up to a lot of different styles of music. And then after I moved out of New Brunswick and moved back home here to Hunterdon County, I told John, like, please, like, I don't want to leave the band. Like, please still, like, I want to play these shows. So I'd go teach, I play my own gigs, and then I'd go play out in New Brunswick in a basement and, like, meet a lot of really cool musicians and continue to be a part of that scene. So that happened, recorded a lot. And then we actually started working with a rapper named Knowledge. Shout out to Knowledge. KNWLDG. He's got an EP out called The Melodrama of a... Oh, I'm going to butcher it. He's going to kill me for that. I'll look it up later.
We'll find it. I'll try to put that in the show notes too.
Yeah. And like,
because there's a dope producer named Knowledge that I'm aware of. But that's dope that...
He's a great rapper.
Okay, sick. I'll check him out. I'm always looking for rappers, man.
After college, I met this bass player named Billy Carrion Jr., who is like a phenomenal bari sax player in the jazz world. And he switched over to playing electric bass. And a friend of his who's a drummer put up this post on Facebook saying, hey, we're looking for a guitar player to play all these shows in Montclair. And I am just not to talk myself up, but I know I'm a driven person. I was like, I just want to play and I want to meet people and I want to do shit. So I responded immediately and I said, look, I'm available for all these dates. Here's some videos of me playing. I only had like a handful of things from like my senior recital in college. And I was like, okay, let's go do it. So I went to his place in West New York and, just started playing. And then I just started playing with this trio regularly, playing like jazz fusion and like funk and R&B and hip hop stuff. And like slowly sneaking my music into... Oh yeah, absolutely. I love Bad Bad Not Good. They were a huge influence for me in college too, because they are a prime example of like, okay, let's take what we know from jazz and let's mix it in with hip hop and do our own thing.
And when you have Denzel Curry rapping over an technically acoustic instrumental that they transformed from his beat.
Yep.
Like that is crazy.
That did a lot for me.
As an aside.
You're right, and like that did so much for me. That's like to continue like where we were is like that like helped me write a lot of stuff in a certain vein of Bad Bad Not Good to what my trio is now. So basically, the drummer that was in that group with me and Billy had to leave eventually, and then we went through a phase of different drummers, different ideas, and then we found like our current drummer, who's Jarrett Walser, who's one of the most in-demand drummers in New Jersey. Trying to set up rehearsal with this guy is always hard, and like gigs, he's always like, all right, hold on, man. Takes like a minute to look through his calendar because he's just a working dude, and I have a lot of respect for people like that. So now that's turned into a trio called MG3. It's my trio, and we play a lot of different stuff. We're working with another rapper now. His name is Frisco Vega. He's from he's from down the shore, but he went to wait for it.
It comes. If you could keep going and give it a minute, it'll come to you in about 2 minutes.
It probably will.
Now,
I forget where he went to college.
BopCast,
I honestly totally forget.
South Jersey or?
No, he went to school in Newark. It was some like technical school. I honestly forget.
Gotcha.
But anyway, we met in New Brunswick, and he was like friends with like one of my housemates at the time. And we just got to know each other. We were pals and everything. And then when we graduated, he's hit me up and he's like, man, I'd love to, like, we should like jam sometime. And I was like, man, I know you rap and shit. I've listened to your shit. We should try and make some shit happen. So we're actually, and you can check this shit on YouTube. It's called Argento Studios. or you can look up Frisco Vega and MG3. We've got like 3 videos up on
Okay,
YouTube right
sick.
now. You can check
Show
that shit
notes,
on
folks. Show notes.
You can check that shit on Instagram as well. We have a show coming up in October, and like a house show, and honestly, it's really fun, and just like, because Billy and I were talking about it, it was just like, man, I want to do more than just like this trio of just my own shit, just my own music. Like, I want to like back people up. So we're always talking to singers, we're always talking to songwriters. Billy's a very active musician in the community, so he's like always calling me, be like, yo, we should talk to this person, we should talk to this person, hit this person up, check this person's music out, because that is also something now that, like, to answer the third question of what I want to be doing is, like, with this trio, I want to be backing up artists. So even like on our Instagram page for MG3 Band, it's like in the description it says genre as versatile as possible, because myself included, these musicians are the most versatile musicians I've ever met, which for me, every person's different, every musician's different. Some people are very strict about one style of music and can play other styles. And I learned this from my dad, because my dad told me, my dad was a working guitar player. So he worked with a, ew, you
Keep
farted. That's a big long fart, Sully. That's not cool,
I don't
man.
even know if it's getting picked up, but the compressor's on.
it just kicked on.
Come on, Dad. It's all good. We'll roll with it. BopCast.
Right? But my dad was a working guitar. Now it's good.
Yeah.
He was a working guitar player, and he worked in country bands, and blues bands, top 40 bar bands, session guitar work. So my dad taught me at a young age, like, look, if you want to do this, if you want to eat from your music and like have your guitar pay your bills, and have that be more than just a guitar, have it be like a tool that you use, like a mechanic uses tools in the workshop, right? The garage. Same shit. Like, you have to be serious about it. You need to be well versed. And you need to be able to step into a situation and be able to make shit work.
And you got to do the gigs.
Exactly.
Right? That's really like another part of what he's saying is like, just do the work. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't like the vent, like the little
it's
shit.
like,
you don't like the you don't like, that's not your genre. Fuck it.
I agree with that.
Like,
yeah, because also, I mean, to me, it's just music at the end of the day. And my friend Vince, who's Frisco Vega, he interviewed me at one point. He's like, what's your favorite style of music to play? Or like, what do you like to do as a musician? I was like, honestly, dude, it's like, if it's good music and it's a good hang, I'm in. I don't care what it is. And just for me, I love music. So it's like, I love George Strait. There's some country for you. I love Willie Nelson. There's some country. I love Tyler, the Creator. There's some hip-hop. I love Jay-Z. I love Van Halen. I love B.B. King.
That's why you're here, man. Like, that's half of the reason why we connected, because I'm like, this dude knows. Like, I think I know music. Like, I know you know music, man. Like,
it's just, when you listen to a lot of different shit, it's like you can appreciate everything from every angle, and you realize how everything is just how everything comes full circle at the end of the day.
It's that first time when you listen to Coltrane, and then you like listen to like Hendrix or something, and you just get like, you're like, I've heard that, like I hear the similar, I know where he got that from.
Yep.
That's
the lineage.
That like is a mind blown moment.
Absolutely.
At least it was for me.
No, I agree with you totally.
And that's what I've been told by, like, I had this one DJ at a backyard party when I was like 15 maybe, and he had one 12-inch DJ speaker, and he goes, he's like, listen to jazz, man. I don't care what you're listening to. Listen to jazz, and then go through the years, and then hear it.
Yep.
And he's like, dude, look, like, I'm just getting $100 just to do this backyard shit. But he's like, that's it. That's what everybody tells me, and that's what he told me.
Yep.
And I like didn't understand it till probably 4 or 5 years later. But
yeah, and like there too. I studied jazz in college. It's definitely one element of music that I'm into. And the guys I work with are jazz musicians. Like, but even Billy would be like, no, I'm not a jazz musician. Because, like, then, like, back to what we were saying about labels. It's like I've even heard before, it's like people say, don't say that you're a jazz guitar player. Just say that you're a guitar player. Because if you show up to, like, a rock session and people are like, oh, what do you play, man? Oh, I'm a jazz guitar player. Be like, oh, you're going to play, like, 1,000,000 notes, 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're going to play some shit no one knows what the fuck you're doing.
For 8 minutes.
Right, yeah. And it was just like, no, it's like, and then I would be like, but that's not true. It's like, but that's the label that's what comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. And it's just, well, one, that's bullshit, but two, it's also like, well, there are stereotypes and they exist, and regardless if you don't like them, they exist, and you can try and fight them, but it's also like,
you don't have to support them, you don't have to acknowledge them.
But you can try and
exist.
You can try and like
there.
work around them. So you said to me in the beginning, like, how do you want to be introduced? Like, what kind of guitar player? I was like, I'm a guitar player. I play guitar.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Like that, yeah. And before I even said that, and we were talking about how I don't tell people I'm a rapper, And I'm like, I don't want the stigma of
Yep.
fucking SoundCloud rap, because I'm not a SoundCloud rapper, and I'm a recording artist, and
Yep.
I've done it. Like, I've put the fucking hours in
Yep.
the studios, and I've done the shit. I've interned, I've worked for free, like, I've done all the bullshit.
Yep.
And that's not the same as the kid who made 3 songs and the
I
mix
agree.
is terrible and everything. And it's like, no disrespect, because I was that kid. I'm just not
Yeah.
that anymore.
Yep.
But and I watched the video the other day. This random guy on Instagram, and he was like, you know what? If you can play an instrument, you're a musician. So you
That's
can.
right.
So I don't feel bad about calling myself that.
No.
And rap is the main thing that I do. But like, and I don't want to go off too long about this, but it's just like, I don't want. You're right. It's a stereotype. It's a connotation. I don't want that judgment. Like, I don't care about getting judged. I
Yeah.
want to tailor my judgment though.
Right.
And if I can affect it, then I will.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I'll tell people I'm a
But
musician.
you learn how to work your way around.
You
the
learn what to say
stereotype.
to people too.
You learn the game, right?
If I tell people
Yeah.
somebody I'm a DJ, or I tell them I'm a rapper, or I tell them I'm a musician, 3 different responses.
Absolutely.
3 different judgments.
Absolutely. And it's like you don't want to deal with that shit. So you say you're a musician, and it's just kind of like people then be like, oh, well, what do you do? Because like musician is a very vague term. Like, what do you do? Well, it's like I do a lot of different things. That's what.
Exactly.
And then like, and that's what my dad taught me. It's just like if you're a musician, you work in music. If you're gonna play guitar, and you want to like pay the bills. Frankly, you should learn how to play a lot of different styles of music. So then that's the case in this trio. It's like we play blues, play funk, play R&B, we play rock, we play jazz, hip hop, jazz, the shit I write, everything and anything. And it's like when we play a show, we'll play Tyrone by Erykah Badu,
Classic.
we'll play Hendrix, we'll play my shit, we'll play jazz, and we'll play I don't know whatever, and then we'll play the Beatles, we'll play Come Together, we'll play something. And just to show that we don't conform to shit and that we want to do whatever we want to do and challenge the status quo, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
that
but actually though, yeah.
yeah. So that trio's been a lot of fun, and we're I'm also learning the business end of being a musician.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it's your full-time job is musician.
Yeah. So what I do, like
But you teach as well, so you do different things.
Yeah, and so I teach, and now that's another thing too. When I say I teach, it's like I don't know if it's because I don't immediately explain it. People are like, oh, you teach music. It's like you're a school teacher. No, I'm not. I teach music and like
You instruct. You're an instructor, or you do lessons.
I do both. So
Okay.
I teach after school lessons. That's like what has the gig I found myself into. So it's like I work in Far Hills, New Jersey. I work in Lebanon, teaching ensembles, teaching lessons, and the schedule's not bad. It really is just like after school afternoon shit. So then that allows me to like have rehearsals in the morning to do sessions like this in the afternoon, and then I go teach, and then I have the night off, and then it's like cool. I can go home and sleep. I can practice. I can
You go play a gig if you want.
I can go play a gig. I can go to the city. I can go to Philly. I can go wherever I want, or I can go to my friend's studio and just work on music, or I can just whatever. So that's where I found myself, and as well as teaching like private lessons as well. But again, back to like if you work in music, there's a lot of avenues. So it's like for me, it's been teaching and performance. I write a lot of music, but as far as like what my income is, it's definitely teaching and performing.
Was there ever a question in your mind that you would do something differently? Was there ever a doubt?
Not a doubt, but when I was little, I thought I'd like to be like in the Air Force, because when I saw Star Wars: A New Hope, I was like, that looks so cool. I want to fly in like a ship or something. I was like, nah, I'm like afraid. I'm like, I don't know. I hate flying in airplanes, so I was like, I couldn't have been a pilot. I also love sharks. Like I was always excited when Shark Week came on. So I think in the back of my head, I'm like, I probably would have potentially liked being a marine biologist or something like that. But no, I mean, I knew from a very young, and this is something I know that is unique because I know it's not the case for a lot of people, even for a lot of my friends who are musicians. I grew up in a situation where my dad was a musician. It was just an understood thing that that's what he did for a living. It was never questioned. It was never, this is what your dad's hobby. It's like, no, my dad's a musician.
And that's why I asked to make that differentiation, because it is different.
It is different. And I knew, I mean, even in like middle school, I knew I was going to be I just knew I wanted to play guitar. And it wasn't even like a dream. It is a dream, but it was also like, I'm going to do it. And I always just worked hard at it. And even when those college fairs happened in high school, it was like I was looking for all the music schools and like all the music programs, because like when I realized, okay, I need to go to college and study music, and like because this is where you get hooked up with phenomenal instructors, phenomenal musicians who've done it, who are doing what I want to do, which is namely performing and like at a very, very, very high level with big name artists. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And so then I realized, okay, then that's the avenue I need to go down. And I knew a lot of people who didn't like poo-poo on the idea or like try to shut it down, but like people were just like, oh, like, or just like would look at me funny.
Yeah.
Or as well as people who just didn't know.
It's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Or people who didn't know what they wanted to do and maybe were truthfully envious of the fact.
That's where
of,
I'm going. Where I'm going is, do you know people that didn't have anything to do with music, found it, and then now they're at the same level you're at? Or is it
Absolutely.
like most people their entire life they kind of knew?
No, not at all. It's a funny thing. It's like I've known people who picked it up a year before they graduated high school, and they're some of the most killing musicians I know. And that's even the story about music in general. So, for example, there's this jazz guitarist named Wes Montgomery, and he is like one of the who's who household names of jazz guitar, and he is so renowned as a musician and guitar player that his name is a household name just of guitar. It's like people know him as a jazz guitar player, but he surpassed levels of, then I could say Barney Kessel, and people are like, who's that? And if I say Wes Montgomery, like, oh yeah, Wes Montgomery. But anyway, he didn't start playing till he was 18. He did not start until he was 18, which is like, what? How?
Yeah.
How could you have fucking done that?
You already grew 18 years.
Right, and you started.
You should be set in your ways by now.
Right, by the time you're 18, you should have like some chops under your fingers and have some shit in your back pocket, right?
Yep.
It was like to play and be able to play, and no, he started at 18 and he changed the game. So it's really, as far as music's concerned, people come at it from various different angles. People come at it from having worked in corporate America or have had real jobs, and then like Cannonball Adderley, who is a great saxophonist from the 60s. He was a high school band teacher, and then Miles Davis picked him up.
Wow.
And then history was made, and he's one of the most historic jazz saxophonists in history. So, historic jazz saxophonist history. Redundant. Anyway, but, to answer your question, I found that people have come at it from various different angles, or even people who just, my one friend Gabe, he didn't study music in school, but he's a phenomenal musician and engineer and producer, and he's super, super smart. So it's like he's got the brain for mixing and like all that, and he can hear shit on a much deeper level than anybody else that I know. But it's like, I feel like maybe for a little while I had a bit of a stigma of like, oh, you didn't go to music school, but that was squashed very quickly simply by myself, because I realized like that's not fair. And two, it's like music is such a deep personal spiritual thing that anybody can come to it from any position in life, any time in life, any scenario, and allow it to have its effect on you. And for some people, it's so powerful that they pick it up and realize that they go full fucking force with it and like take it to high levels. So yes, I've met plenty of people who did not grow up playing an instrument and picked it up, or just simply didn't come at it from the same avenue I did and are 10 times better than me, or musicians and friends of mine that I have a deep, deep respect for.
It seems like it's not the years. It seems like it's the hours. Like I feel like it's like the holds,
the dedication
on the
to
guitar, like the seconds, like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
going practicing for 5 more minutes, which turns into another 5, and then another hour, and it's like kind of, I've technically, like, I started guitar, I'm 21 now, I started playing guitar when I was 10 or 11. Technically, that's 10 years. I could say that, and, like, it wouldn't be a lie.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not that good at guitar. Like, I'm not, like, I can't, like, play in front of, like, I could play, like, a song probably, but, like, so it doesn't seem like me 10 years, that doesn't say anything about what I can actually do. It seems like, and from what you're saying is, like, it's just the dedication and, like, the actual, like, doing it every day. And, like, just switching your mind of, like, you can be 18, and then at 19, you could be recording, and then at 20, you could be, on a label, and then at, like,
absolutely,
it's just
it is. Well, it is a certain level, and I've had arguments with people about this, and I've had conversations with people completely agree with me. It's a certain level of obsession, and I don't think that's totally unhealthy, and I think that's just a certain mindset that people have that have a knack for doing things like the arts, for example. Because we're talking about music,
sure,
you have to have that level of obsession in order to if you want to be good at it. I think you need to be obsessed with it, Because only then are you going to put the hours and the time in because you want to. It's like no one picks up an instrument. It's like, fuck, I have to do this today. No, it's like you pick it up every single time because you know it's just like a second nature part of you.
That's what I want to know. Does it ever feel like work to you or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean.
So it should.
At a certain point, because now I do it professionally.
And obviously, we're not here to tell people what it should and shouldn't feel like or be like, or.
No, but it's subjective.
It's subjective, but yeah, exactly.
It
and
definitely is work,
but it is work, right? Like there's people that will play guitar for 3 hours a day, and you can watch them, and it just feels like they're just in there.
Yep.
And then there's another person going to music school that plays for 3 hours a day, and he gets to hour 2, and he's like, I have an hour. Like I have to go another hour. Like I feel like that's too different. They might end up at the same place. I don't know.
Yeah, because everyone's journey is different in that way.
Mindsets of like you were saying, an obsession.
It can be. I mean, I found it. I mean, truthfully, here's what I've figured out. I started. I'm skinny, but I started going to the gym recently and learned about. And I had a friend of mine who really kicked my ass. He was not a musician, but he's like had experience for just working out, and he's like. Knows how to do it.
Yeah, don't get me started on this.
Like, then you can understand this. No, because honestly, like, I know that you do, like, work out and go to the gym, so it's like, then you can get this. It's like, you learn that mindset of dedication and focus. And that's what it takes to play, and no, not to play music for a living, to do anything very well.
No, but it's no questions asked.
No questions asked, you just do it, and then...
Once you're in it, it's fun. It's nice most of the time, and maybe it's not.
But then but you have that moment where you do start to push yourself, and you realize you're like, God damn it, I have 2 more reps of this, and you're like, yeah, you do, fucking do it.
See, when I'm at 2 more reps, I'm tunnel vision already. Like I'm not even thinking about it.
Yep.
Like those reps are happening. Whether my body or my mind wants it, it doesn't matter what they want.
But it takes time to get there. It's not going to happen like that,
exactly.
though. It took time and pain.
I like that relationship between the working out and the music. It's like, you're right, because for me, going to the gym is very easy. I've been doing it for very long. I do it every day at 7 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week.
That's great, man. That's better than I do. Shit.
I never did it like that, honestly. Just started doing that, to be completely honest, in the last month. Nice. Always did 3 to 6 times a week. There was a point where I worked out every single day, and I thought I was going to be a bodybuilder, and like there was a vision and a goal, and I'm going to be this weight and this physique one day. That kind of fell off, which maybe might be another aspect to it as well. But
change.
For me, it's change. But it's like it's still no questions asked. I need to do it though, so that's why it's like I need to do it for my sanity, and maybe like. Probably music I need to do for my sanity too, though, because there's like times when I just like need to sit down and write or sit down and make a beat. But
it's a therapeutic thing.
It is, and it really is no questions asked at all. And
Indeed.
And with the music's different though, man. It's like there's times in my life when I don't have time for it, and I'm like, why didn't I make time to do it? Like, and then I'm like questioning myself. I'm like, how much do I really want this?
Well, then you can put that right back to going to the gym, because it's like your physical well-being is an important thing, because it's like this vehicle that we have is all we have until we die, right? So then if you want to take care of it, you should be in shape, and you should try, in my opinion, you should try and do things. It doesn't mean you have to like fucking bench press 100 pounds every day.
It's not about the numbers.
And there's another thing where that equates back to music.
Bang.
Where it's like,
the weight is the streams.
The what?
The weight on this, the 250 on bench is 200,000 streams or whatever. Not about the numbers. It looks really good. Yeah. Like, it's like I'm just putting them on the same level. I guess, like, weight for working out is streams for, like, music.
Oh, word. No, I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
I was going to think of it as, like, your form at the end of the... So it's like, okay...
There's that, too. That's
quality over quantity. Sure. So it's like, if your form is shit, you're not getting a good workout. Right? If you're trying to do this and you go like that, you're not going to get... You're not getting a workout. Yeah. Right. Don't do that. You have to keep...
You're not helping yourself.
If your goal is to do 10 reps, but you realize you can only do 5, then make those 5 the best that you can.
It's called the cheat. And like I said, I don't want to go into this... Like, I can go deep. Like, I go into physiology and everything and about cheat reps and, like, I don't want to. But, like, I'll go off too far, and people have seen me go off on, I've talked about it before. But, yeah, exactly. It's like, there's a point, and, like, you could cheat yourself in music, too. You could, like, sit down on guitar and play the same riff 100,000 times.
You noodle for 3 hours. You're talking about practicing for 3 hours? You can noodle for 3 hours.
Yeah,
like,
you can do anything for 3 hours.
There are two dudes, me and someone else who could practice for 3 hours, and I know in 3 hours I'm going to get some serious work done. And, like, back to is music work? because I do it for a living, it definitely is, but also because I know that I'm on a mission to just be the best musician that I want to be. And then it's like, okay, then if you want to work out at the gym and make sure that you know every workout is very real and that it's very genuine, and you know you like worked out well that day and you made steps forward in your progress.
Yep.
That's the point. Why would, and then, you know, the only thing we have of value in this life is time.
Yep.
So if you want to dick around and waste it, that's your own damn call. So if you want to noodle for 3 hours, you go ahead and noodle for 3 hours.
And
I'm going to be working on some shit.
Exactly.
If you want to like pretend to work out and not do it right.
And we see these motherfuckers, and I see these motherfuckers, and I don't say a word because they can't hear it from me. They don't want to, and I'm not there
You need to tell yourself those
tell
things.
them. Yeah,
No.
and I've been there, man. I've been there. Like, I've done workouts when I get to an hour and a half, and I'm like, I don't even know if I really did anything. Like, I don't know if I got
Yep, and you got to
I might
check
have just
yourself on
done
those
the whole-
things.
Exactly, you got to check, and like, you're probably doing that. So, how do you get better, like, with guitar? Are you learning a new riff? Like, for me, it's like trying to learn a new song and then hoping to try to, like, there's some hope in there because, you know, I try to do it as much as I can, but, you know.
You should learn new stuff. That's
But, like,
definitely
how
one
do
of
you
them.
so how do you get better?
Well, okay, so, I mean, I definitely have an organized practice routine. I have, like, okay, back to working out.
This
I
is
have, like, a period of time where it's, like, okay, or, like, 15 minutes is just, like, technical exercises. And there's various books that I work out of for that stuff. There's various pieces of music I've learned. There's practice routines and, like, exercises I've made that people have taught me that I use. I'll do that for, like, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And then I'll take a 5-minute break. Come back, and then it's, namely because I do this for a living, it is also, okay, what am I doing this week or this month that needs to be addressed? So,
So you're going to tailor it.
yeah, these days it is tailored. When I was a student, I mean, you're always a student, right? But, like, when I was in college, right, when I was, like, in college and I had, like, homework and assignments, it was what's due this week. So I had a teacher, I had 2 great teachers in college on guitar who would, like, push me and kick my ass and make me do a lot of really difficult stuff. So I was like, okay, I have to accomplish this. So then I would just set aside an hour, I don't know, however much time I could squeeze in, because I also had other assignments I had to do, and I was working in college, so it was like, okay, like we were talking about before, time management.
I know how that is, yeah.
You know, so it's like, all right.
Oh, the epitome of anything. Just get, if you,
all we
do you
have-
want to get anything done? Okay, there you go.
All we have
Time
in this
management.
life is time. And so if you want to waste it, that's your call. Otherwise, if you're effective, if you are organized with it and you're effective with your organization skills of time management, then you will succeed. So then, you know, I warm up, I work on, like, whatever work I have for the week. And so I will then be like, okay, if I have to learn these songs for this gig or for this gig next month and I know I should get on it now, then I'll be doing that. So yeah, I'll be learning new songs. And when I learn a new song, you know, I'm definitely aware of, like, hey, it's this chord change, it's this riff here, and then as I'm doing it, you know, like, oh, that's really interesting, this chord structure is built this way, or this riff is built this way, or I'll be learning a song, it's like, okay, that's actually forcing me to tap into a certain style of voicing that I've never used before. Let me dive into that when I'm done with this. So then that might take an hour, let's say. And then from that point, once I get, like, my work done, like, it's like, you know, whatever jobs I've coming up, then it's not free time, but then it's like, okay, what things I want to be working on.
It's
so
kind
then,
of free practice.
not necessarily, because, like, to me, that means I'm wandering, and you should never wander
Got
if
you.
you're trying to get effective work done.
Okay, you're right.
You know, you have to stay focused the whole time, which is, you know, an act of discipline. So then it's, okay, what do I know that needs improvement? So then if I know, like, there's a certain scale I haven't quite got down yet that I know I need to, just for my own purpose, I'll work on that. I do a lot of listening, too. Like, I just listen all the time. Well, not all the time, but, like, I have music on in the car, and I try to be as focused as I can. Of course, I'm driving, but on the music that I'm listening to, I'll be trying to decipher things while I listen. Ear training, I'll try and figure out songs just by ear, you know, because I had one teacher put it this way. He's like, if your ears are shit, this is in music school, it's like, if your ears are shit, then what are you doing? And it's like, you have to have good ears.
You can't always have the book theory.
The book can't teach you shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, back, you know, before a lot of this stuff was written, like, people have written books for many beneficial reasons, but it's all here. It's all in your ears. And if you can't hear things and react and adapt, then you're kind of screwed. You know, it's all about how good of an ear you have.
There's only so many. I know just from making beats, like, there's only so many different ways you're gonna make a beat, right?
I
And
mean,
there's only so many different ways you're gonna learn how to do it, how to make it, right? In a guitar song, there's only a certain amount of ways that you're gonna learn how to make the song, but the actual thing that gets better, right, is like your ear.
I mean, did Jay Dilla read a book on how to produce?
Motherfucker just went. He
So
said,
then
this
there you
sounds
go.
good. He didn't quantize a motherfucking thing. Y'all think that you're the best beat maker. Y'all, oh, my beats are dope, dude. Yeah, try not quantizing the whole goddamn thing and then
Just
see where
doing
it's
it
at.
on your
Like,
own and fucking up and learning.
And my beats that aren't quantized, some of them sound like shit. Like, I'll just be honest. But, like, try it. Like, you realize how much of a musician you aren't when you
make it raw, right? Make sure it sounds good just by listening to it.
Exactly.
But I work on my ears for sure. I work on the technical facility on the instrument. I read a lot, so I'll do a lot of sight reading and like etudes by Bach and Beethoven. I'll constantly be in like music libraries or like thrift shops looking for just collections of like I was in Canada the other month and visiting some family. We went into this thrift shop, and I was just looking around. I saw, like, music books. I was like, okay, and I found this book of just flute etudes, and I was reading through it, and I was like, this is stuff I could sight read on guitar. I'm totally nerding out right now, but I was just like, this is a gold mine, because I looked at it, I was like, I realized this is something that can benefit me. So I bought it, and that's something I still read out.
I just bought a book of rhyme book.
There you go.
Not even like
something
a
that
thesaurus,
you know will
like
benefit
it's an actual
you.
songwriting. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know where, I don't know when,
Yeah.
I can't tell you the exact moment I'm going to use this, but I know I'm going to be in a moment when I do, or I'm just going to read it and then an idea's going to pop.
And then, like that's like keeping your brain sharp, and that's another
like
thing
3 years
too.
ago, I would have never bought that.
Right,
Yeah.
and that there's a sign of like maturity in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's lots of things I work on. I'll transcribe a lot. That's like back to listening. I like listen to like a recording and try to learn a solo note for note, and then study it. Or like I'll try and listen to the rhythm of the piano player and hear how they're playing chords behind a saxophone solo. I'll listen to compositions. I'll try to analyze chord changes. I'll listen to a song over and over again. Back to Tyler, the Creator, I'll listen to like that track Buffalo off of Cherry Bomb and listen to the production on that, because I think that's one of the craziest songs he's ever written. Or something off of Flower Boy, like Boredom. I'll just listen to the production end of it, and I'll try and like but appreciate what's being done, and then what I can steal from it, truthfully, and then just use on my own.
Because that's what music is, a lot of, you just get inspiration.
Absolutely.
You know?
And there's always newer things and new things you can find and whatnot, but the other thing, too, is when you spend enough time doing something, you do get very good at it because it becomes a part of you, and you figure things out just based off of spending
identify with
that
it
much.
too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Coltrane is an example of, like, the greatest practicer who ever lived. It'd be like he'd play a set, take a break for 20 minutes. The other guys might be chilling at the bar or whatever. He'd be in the bathroom or the back of the stage practicing, working something out. Come back on for the next set, play, go home, get his horn out, practice until the sun came up. Then he would sleep. And even then, like there's stories, the story is Coltrane would always fall asleep with the horn in his mouth. And it's like, that is like the level that myself and a lot of other musicians who understand what he did, but also the people I try to surround myself with, like the people who are really trying to do this for real, it's like, he's an example of what we really should be doing. It's like, if you want to, and like, I know people who I've told that to have looked at me like, that sounds terrible. Like, do you even have a life? And it's like, well, that is it. And that is my purpose.
This is why this is the most interesting thing for me. That is the process, because like everybody sees the end goal, man. They see you ripping the guitar at your set, at your gig, and on your solo gig, and they're eating dinner or whatever, and it's amazing, and it's just perfect for the moment, and you killed it, you got it. But they don't see the 15-minute warm-up, the hour. Okay, now I can mess around a little bit. Okay, now I got to go back to work. Now I got 3 more hours of this, and I'm prepping for that lesson I have tomorrow. And it's like, and the playing until the sun comes up or whatever it might be. Like, that is great, because that's what we need to hear. Like, we need to hear of the fucking work. Yeah, man. And because, like, I don't know. Like, that's why I asked, because I don't know what, I call myself, if I call myself a musician, but I do a lot less than a lot of people do. And I'm like, what, is that the same? Like, is it like, is that a standard like I should be thinking about? Like, should I change the way I, represent myself or something? And it's like, it gets you, it's a motivation, because now I'm like, shit, man, like, they're out there practicing 6 hours of fucking.
And there's people doing it more than I do for sure.
And there's people who, which you find is like, there's the Allen Iverson. It's like he didn't have to practice. Like
No?
he's like, fuck it. He's like, what are you talking about practice? The game. The only thing that matters is the game.
Yeah.
So there's people that can practice an hour or whatever, and
It's like Michael Jordan, like that's his,
yeah.
like he like practiced layups for like hours and hours and hours and hours, and I'm super weak on sports. I just didn't.
Me too.
Sport,
I'm not a sport guy.
But
Sports guy
I didn't know
either,
that
but I
about
just know
Allen
some
Iverson.
extent,
So like
yeah.
he was somebody who was.
There's a
like,
famous interview where he's like, some people know this, and it's in a lot of songs and shit, and he's like, they're not talking about a game. Not a game. Not a game. Practice. They're talking about practice. Not a game. And so he's literally basically like, when I'm on the center stage and I gotta make a shot, I'll make it. Don't fuck with me with the practice. I got it. Like, like it doesn't matter. Only he, and that's his ideology. And then you got a Jordan who's the complete opposite, which is literally, but at the same time, Jordan's eating hamburgers and drinking whole things of Coca-Cola before he doesn't matter because it's end goal.
Well, everybody's
doesn't
different.
Matter.
Everybody's
it's
different.
End goal. What's
Yeah.
the end? But
Right.
and he put in all the hours for the free throws. Maybe Allen Iverson probably wasn't as good as at free throws.
And
and
that's respecting
not
the
as
fact
good
that everyone's
as
different.
Jordan either.
Yeah, but respecting everyone's different. Everyone comes from their own. So it's like, because I don't practice as much as Coltrane, I'll never be as great. I don't think anybody will ever be as great as Coltrane.
Yeah.
It's that bar has been set. But then it's like you respect.
It's not a causation; it's a correlation, honestly. And it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
And everyone's different with it. Everyone sees things differently, and I think there's a lot of beauty in realizing that people are different, and we all have different things to bring to the table. And even just with the practice ideology is like, is there a difference between practicing the gig and practicing the game? No, because it is all just you're doing it. Why should it be different when I step on stage to play as opposed to
how
being
you
in my
do
room and
anything is how
playing?
you do everything.
Yeah,
That's
it's like every time I pick up my guitar, it's not okay. I'm just practicing. Everything's cool. It's like no, I'm playing, and it needs to be good because I'm not gonna fuck around while I'm practicing. Because I would never fuck around on a gig. So then it's every time I pick up that guitar, it's just like I'm just doing it, and there happens to be people in the room when I'm playing a gig. Stage fright was nothing that really ever got to me. I got lucky. That's something that truthfully, performance anxiety is a very real thing.
I'm an extroverted person, and it gets to me, and it got to me, and it still does. I'll go for an open mic, and I'm not nervous, but I'll go DJ, where I literally have to say 16 words the whole time.
Yeah,
and I'm nervous. So it's like.
But like there's that. Then there's that thing that you are so confident as a rapper. And you definitely are confident as a DJ, but it's like, man, if I could just be rapping right now and making the same amount of money, because it's
facts, exactly.
It's that thing that that you're insanely confident at doing, and is an effortless thing.
That's a skill. The thing that not caring live or what the people there like.
It's that
getting
focus
into
in that
the mindset
zone.
is
That's
the zone,
tunnel vision,
and
that you
people
talked
want
about.
you to do good.
Yeah.
Like they want you to be good. They're not there to see shitty artists. You
No.
know, like, and if they are, they're not the right people you should be giving a fuck about anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, ultimately,
Indeed.
but yeah, and even every time, like, sometimes I still get a little butterflies or something, but
that means you care.
Yeah.
That means you're.
Oh, I'm so scared.
It means
I'm so fucking scared all the time.
You should always have a little bit of nervous or not. Okay. So
I think all my shit sucks. Like I make it, and I'm like, this is dope, and then the next day I'm like, this sucks, and and it's a process of dope sucks.
but trusting yourself along the way.
Yeah,
right?
but I think like honestly. I think that was great to hear, and I think it was great for people to hear the practice and the grind, because that's what it is. That's whatever you want, you got to go. Like, for me, like, I want, I'm always chasing a way that I want my body to look. So I have to put in that work every day, and I diet, and every single fucking meal is counted for.
Because you care.
Because I care, and I have a standard, and I want to fulfill something. And will I ever get there? No, because that's not the point. The point is I just want to keep getting better and do it,
To that, it's like, I might have to just pull it up on my phone real quick, but it's also like realizing that it's not that you accomplished something or that you reached a goal and now it's over, because every single day is you becoming. And it's not like, I did this, I'm done. You're never done. You are becoming something every day, and you're working at it every day. It never stops, and that shouldn't be a daunting fact. It's just
the reality.
I gotta find it. I'll send it to you. It was an Instagram thing, but it's just like every day we are becoming. Every day is part of the process, because
it's a compound. It's a compound effect.
Yeah,
because it's like when you first start to like see a vein in your arm, you're like, whoa, fuck,
right?
Or you like,
you just see the definition in like your abs, and you're just kind of
exactly.
like, oh, right?
Or you bench like
it's that scene in
135, and you're like, I remember when I couldn't even do like 10s on each side, like that shit, like And that's what it is, that's when it does equate to music, too. It's like, I couldn't play that song, now I can.
And you realize when you can do it. You know, I just thought, remember that scene in the first Spider-Man movie when Peter Parker's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's, like, surprised.
Yeah. And it's like, that's it. That's it. You know, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like, I got this shit, huh?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Off of that, I would just say, in, like, respecting the process, or, like, that's, like, the sports thing, like, trust the process, right? Mm-hmm. Who uses that slogan? I feel like I've heard that mostly from football players lately, right? Like, or some, I don't know. Maybe
it's popular. I don't know who popularized it the most.
But you know how that's gotten popular in like the past like year or so. Trust the process.
Go anywhere on Instagram hashtag fucking
trust the process.
Tips.
But like I saw another one which was allow yourself to fail, allow yourself to learn, allow yourself to grow. I've been telling that to a lot of my students and myself lately because it's like, you know, something else I like to say is we're all entitled to fuck up. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, don't be afraid of fucking up because we all fuck up in one way or another, be it royally or minor, but whatever it may be, you have to learn from it and acknowledge the lesson and then move forward. Because if you fuck up and you get too hung up on it, I mean, I'm not saying like you like killed somebody by accident in your car or something, but just like, you know, if you fucked up and did something you're not proud of, own up to it, respect the lesson that it taught you and move forward. Because that's how you grow as an individual.
I don't learn when I win. Like, when I win, I'm right. When I do something good that I thought was going to work out and it works out, I'm like, okay, I'm right. Yeah. Like, this time I'm right.
Yeah. It's like
I didn't really learn anything.
You didn't grow from it.
Exactly. I learned that I was right. That I envisioned something happening. I predicted the future. It happened.
But what are you doing when you're winning? Like, what is it? What's the definition of winning to you?
That's the thing. That's very subjective, too. I don't know. I guess if I was going to perform a song, say, for example, and I think the crowd's going to love it, they loved it. I'm like, okay, I'm right, but I didn't get really any better. Like, I want to perform a song that I think is going to hit, and then the crowd hates it, and they're just like, or they're just not vibing it at all. That's when I go, oh, I wasn't right. Like, I was really wrong. Like, why was I so wrong? Now what can I learn? I feel like failure is the best thing you can do. Like, just going up and, like, purposely trying to fit, like, is just, like, that's where the learning comes in. I feel like, you know, if you made an investment from a company or like this company's going to do amazing and it did, and you're like, okay, you know, now I have more money, but like, what did you really learn? You learned that you were right. Like, I don't think being right you don't learn a lot from. I feel like being wrong is most of the time.
Or maybe that you could trust your gut on things.
Yeah, that's, I mean, shit, we could go off on another fucking tangent about that because that's huge. I mean, intuition and
trusting yourself at the end of the day and learning from different experiences. Because if you do fail, and you need to be able to draw the lesson from what the failure was and acknowledge it and move forward. Because if you get too hung up on it, you're staying idle, and that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, you could fail bad, and you could fail good. And like my songwriting teacher, he's always like, "Don't be afraid to fail. You have to fail." He's like, "I want a shitty lyric. Give me a shitty lyric right now." He goes to the kid, the lyric's fucking amazing. Like, you should be writing songs, bro. He's like, you failed. It's not a shitty lyric. It's a good lyric. So that's wrong. Next, who's got a shitty one? Actually shitty. And like, it's this weird thing of like, then the kid has a good lyric and he's like feeling bad about it. And but you didn't do it right. You have a good lyric. Like, it has to be a bad one, and everybody else has to agree it's bad. And it's not. It's good. Like, it's such a weird, like, those things I fucking love. Like, they just make you grow.
Yeah, and
that make you grow, man.
You appreciate the process of growing, and you can tell when it's happening. Just like at the gym, you can see yourself getting more tone or more bulked up or whatever, or you can hear it when you're playing.
It's in your head, and I've been doing a lot of hippy dippy shit, but I've been doing, which comes up all the time in this podcast. I love it, because it's just like, for me, it's real. Like, I meditate every day, and I've just been doing more visualization. I was listening to a podcast about it, and I always do, and I just something I'm very fascinated with of like, if you predispose the reaction. So if you are in here and you're about to go on stage and you are thinking about bad things happening when you do, your body's predisposed to bad things. So it's now you're priming your body for a bad thing to happen.
Yeah.
But if you visualize the good thing, I'm not trying to go too far off the deep end with this, but I think it's real. In my opinion, it's real. If you think about a good thing, you predispose your body to the good thing.
Absolutely.
So now your body is like, oh, a good thing's going to happen. because we know it is. Like I already feel it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
Absolutely.
you can you're like tricking your body with your mind, and then that will lead to a better.
Yeah,
end
a
result.
positive outlook is always important no matter what.
I don't know how we got there, but I went there.
It's important no matter what. No matter what. You know,
Yeah.
I have days where I'm practicing like I sound like shit today, or it's like this is not what I want to be. But it's also realizing that nothing happens overnight.
Yep.
Everything takes time. And it's different for everybody, and respecting and honoring the fact that it's your own personal, unique experience, and it's not anyone else's. It's your own. So therefore, it's a very unique thing, and you couldn't ask for anything better.
No, and that's it. And you start to realize, like, as you do the things too, you learn so much more about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I realize like so much more that you can't put yourself in a box. Like you have to always be, because like your intuition, like your gut might tell you to do something that you don't want, like you don't see yourself doing.
Yeah.
But maybe it's right, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think like shit, that might be a good note to end on, honestly, of like
Sure.
just to like wrap it up. Like obviously we went through a lot in this conversation, man. It was like this is crazy. But I think to end on that note of like just feel it. Which like what I've been doing recently is trying to like feel a decision of like, let me see how my body, like I feel like we're so disconnected. I don't know.
No, yeah.
You play guitar, so you feel it. You're like when you're in there, like you were saying, on that loop or something, like that was a different feeling from when you were just warming up, you know, right? Like
Yeah, and getting into the mindset of it. Yeah, absolutely. And things. No, I know what you mean. Things take time, and you have to be focused with it.
I mean, is your body playing the guitar or your mind? You know, like.
I think it's I don't know. It's
is it both?
It's
got to be both, right?
My mind is telling my body what to do, and I guess my ears.
Mm-hmm.
All right, talking about physiology. I don't know. My ears hear shit, but then isn't that my brain hearing shit? But then whatever part of my brain, my ears are hearing, and then that translates to okay, hands.
Yeah.
Do this.
And then muscle memory, like your muscles have individual memories.
Yeah, and absolutely.
So do your vocal cords, and so do every, you know.
Indeed.
Like, yeah. That's crazy, man. This shit's crazy. We could have gone another 2 hours, I think.
Probably.
I think we could have gone forever for the rest of the night. I mean, I would have needed beers for sure. I would have gone out and got us some fucking beers or something. Shit, maybe a glass of wine, but
But then we can do that when I have my trio here.
Yeah, when you have Yeah, I'm hyped for that. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, the next time you're gonna see this kid, he's gonna be with his band, and we're gonna be doing they're gonna perform, and we're gonna interview the whole squad together.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I've already got a vision in my head for where this is gonna go, and I can see myself doing a lot more of that. And you know, if I have the access and if I'm able to, then I want to. And I appreciate all your time, man. Like you took a lot of time today to come out and do this.
I'm glad this happened.
Yeah, me too, man. Couldn't have gone better. I think like just the insight too. Like I don't know you that well, so now I really realize like you got a lot in there, man. Like you do a lot of shit. Like you're about it. This isn't. This isn't a side job, man.
Not at all.
And this is your main gig. So this has been episode 14 or something, something. I never know the episode. People know of BopCast, but thanks, man. This has been dope, man.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're the man. Anytime, brother. So, where can people find you?
So you can find my shit on. I do have a Facebook, but I don't know. Facebook is what it is these days, right? Mm-hmm. I have Instagram.
It works.
Matt G Music 93.
Show notes. It'll all be in there. All the links.
My trio page is MG3 Band. Look up Johnny Cola on Instagram. As far as recorded music, you can find stuff on YouTube. You can find videos of me playing. If anyone's in the New Hope area, this Sunday, tomorrow, September 29th.
I don't think this will be out yet, but either way, you're
but
there.
October,
there you go.
all Sundays.
There you go.
All of October 2019, I'm going to be at the Deck in New Hope, Pennsylvania, 7 to 9, playing solo acoustic guitar.
Come out.
It's a really
I'm trying to get out too. I live far, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm trying to get out.
It's a really nice place.
And if people are going, let me know too, and we'll all get a group and head out.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place. I really enjoy working there. Stuff on Bandcamp, Johnny Cola. You can look my name up too.
If you got something for me,
SoundCloud.
I can download, or you can send me that's recorded. I'll put it over the end of this video. So now I'll play it for the last couple minutes of the video.
I know exactly what YouTube video I'd want to put up.
Perfect. Okay. I'll download the audio and.
Cool.
There we go. That's a wrap. So
Solid.
that's a podcast, folks. Appreciate you coming to perform live as well.
Thank you all for listening.
We don't have a ton of that. Yeah, guys. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever form. Just have to plug my bullshit at the end. Here I am. But we're on every single platform, even the ones nobody uses. Anchor, Pocket Cast, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. All my music's on iTunes, SoundCloud, Apple Music. Everywhere music and podcasts are found, we're there. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another episode of BopCast with Matt Gordeuk. Peace.
Wow.